Can you guess where I am? I'm at our off-grid home location, Sunny Mountain. You will remember back in the fall, we said this is our official new goal. Celebrate wedding anniversary in
our house.
Our new house. Countdown begins. Put it on the clock. Beep. We were gonna celebrate our wedding anniversary in the house that we built here on this property. Well, it's May. Let's see, what has changed on Sunny Mountain? Not much. We have a long ways to go on this entire project, and some big things have changed in our plans. It's time to explain why. I've been getting a ton of questions you out there have been asking. What's going on at the off-grid build on Sunny Mountain? Well, today we're gonna talk about what's been happening with me, what's happening here, and what can you expect to see going forward. This is the spot. Let's build a homestead. I'm actually here today to do some work on the property. I'm going to be doing some seeding and some haying. We're trying to establish some pasture area, get some clover, rye, and even some buckwheat growing here to help prevent some erosion and help the seed kickstart. So I'm going to be doing a lot of that work today. Meanwhile, catching you all up to speed on what's going on here. Now, before I talk about the bigger things I have to talk about here, I want to explain this property, just something that we hadn't talked about much, and we'll answer some people's questions as to how we got this property and how we own it or don't. Let me explain there. Our current agreement here at Sunny Mountain, we have a lease to own agreement. So this is something that you will find, especially in the agricultural world. A lot of people wind up doing this for large pieces of property, old farms that are looking to transition. People will lease the farmland to someone like Kay and I who wants to start their own farm, build a farm with the option to buy over time. So essentially it's like you're renting towards owning. That's how we've been able to do a lot of the work that we've done here. We put in the pond. All the big changes we do currently have to increase the value of the property. We can't go and take from it and then leave. That's not fair to do in a lease to own situation. But for example, putting in the pond, that's good for everybody. So we don't own Sunny Mountain ourselves yet. It's under lease to own, and that has allowed us the freedom to work with it, see what we think. You'll notice behind me is a hunting blind. We pretty much quickly moved in our hunting blind because any piece of property that's got deer or turkey on it, I'm gonna wanna use for a little hunting. And up on the hill there is where the spot that we had chosen up back there to put our off-grid home. And we were talking a lot about that in the fall. We were getting the site location picked out. Right away we needed to have water. That's why we did the pond project when we did. One thing has changed, the pond is coming in nicely. A lot of you followed along as we built this pond last year. The water level has been slowly coming up over the winter and the spring. We're up a couple of feet in the pond. It's not as high as I would hoped. When you have a pond with clay in it, the clay absorbs a lot of the water, so it will fill up high and then it'll absorb some water, seal, fill up a little higher. It's been working its way up slowly. We're getting there. Still got a long ways to go on filling. We got this pond project done just as winter was really, you know, starting up. Here we are, it's May, right? Spring has arrived. We should be putting in a foundation. We should be digging water lines and installing solar panels, and none of that has happened. It has ground to a complete halt. We've made zero progress. And essentially, it's because of me. In the last Sunny Mountain update, we actually talked about how I was going through this health issue where I would get sick and then I was getting really dizzy afterward, and I was thinking it was labyrinthitis. Labyrinth. You get a virus, and after the virus, you wind up getting dizzy. This is a thing, labyrinthitis. Over the winter, the dizziness didn't really stop. It came and went, but it kept coming back, and each time it would get worse and worse. And there were some times that I was just on the couch flat out. And so I started to worry that like maybe there's something really actually worse wrong with me, and I better get it checked out. So I did. I went to a doctor. And this actually started back in like the middle of winter. If you've ever gone through any medical complicated stuff, you know, you go see your normal doctor and then you tell your normal doctor, I feel really weird, and so they send you to do a bunch of other checks, and then your insurance company's like, well, you can't get those tests done until you go see these doctors. So then you don't get those tests done, and then you go see other doctors, and then those doctors say, boy, I'm gonna have to send you to get these tests done.
And then your insurance company goes, oh, okay, you can have those tests done now that the other doctor said so. And then you go and have those tests done, and before all this is said and done,
it's been like 4 months. It's ridiculous. I had to go to an ear, nose, and throat doctor, a neurologist. I had to get a dizzy test done, which that was awful. The worst test I've had to do probably since the CMTs. Where's all my Connecticut people at? CMTs? You know what I'm talking about? And I had to have an MRI done, which I was super nervous about because I get a little claustrophobic and I didn't know how that was gonna play out. I'll tell you about that in a second. Ear, nose, and throat doctor gave me a once over and said everything looked normal, but I had to do a dizzy test to be sure. And basically what a dizzy test is they make you really, really dizzy. And then they tell you you're fine. If they don't make you dizzy, you failed the test. So their goal in a dizzy test is to make sure that everything is working in your brain and your ears and your crystals. We actually have crystals in our body. I thought it was like a weird hippie thing, but no, we have crystals apparently in our ears. You gotta make sure your crystals have aligned. The worst part of the dizzy test is they blow hot air into your ear with like a little hose while you're in total darkness, and it makes you feel like you're spinning in a barrel. And I literally grabbed the table I was on and held tight because it felt like I was rolling. For the rest of that day, it was nauseous, yeah. But I passed, I got dizzy, so that was a good thing, I guess. Then was time for the dun-dun-dun MRI. That's the test that I was most worried about, because like, what are they gonna find on my brain? Are they gonna find something? We have been through this before. This is actually not my MRI, this is Kay's MRI. I didn't get a printed out MRI, and I'm pretty disappointed because I guess they don't do it nowadays with everything being digital, they just keep it. But I wanted a cool postage stamp thing of my brain. Kay got one of these, but I didn't, and I felt a little gypped. We've been through this with Kay. She has talked about this on the channel in the past. When we were newly dating, she actually had seizures and didn't know why. It just started happening after she met me, actually. We took her to get a MRI done, and they found something was wrong with her brain, and so she had brain surgery. And back then we were young, childless, we weren't even married, and it was scary and concerning, but the kind of scary and concerning when you're, 20 years old and dating, and you're pretty starry-eyed optimist, so I wasn't too worried back then, and they fixed the problem and she's good to go. But I think as you get older, you see a lot more bad things happen and you realize like, oh man. So the imagination goes wild when you have a lot of little ones. We have 6 kids, so I got a lot of mouths to feed. It was very stressful, worrying, and pretty much took up all my brain power and a lot of our time getting all these tests done, and especially leading up to this MRI. So nothing got done here. We didn't think about this property, we didn't work on this property. We just focused on keeping our farm going, keeping our stuff going, and getting through these tests and getting the results, and getting my MRI results, which these are not, again, mine are somewhere in the cloud. I did not want to talk about this on the channel till I knew what was going on, because I love leaving a good cliffhanger. I like making content that wants people to come back for more, but I don't like doing that with medical stuff, because I don't like to worry people about medical stuff. And at this point, I'm already doing that in this video. You're probably like, come on, Os, what happened? What's up with your MRI? So no more worrying, no more cliffhangers. Pretty much, the way the neurologist put it, nothing to be worried about. So I'm not gonna be concerned. But man, I've never been through this. It's always been Kay that's dealt with the medical stuff in our relationship. She never even saw me in like a hospital gown. And when I walked out to do my MRI, she saw me in the hospital gown and she laughed. She was like, oh, look, you look so cute. But later on, she told me like, oh, it's kind of sad to see your loved one in a hospital gown, because you realize like we're all fragile and something will happen. Someday you'll go get a test done and there will be something wrong, right? Someday I'll go get a test done and they'll find something that is concerning. And it's a good reminder, I know it was a good reminder to Kay and I, just to make sure that we are building the life that we want, where we want, what we want. And so for those of you watching, if you're not homesteading and you've been dreaming about it, and maybe you've been watching us for a long time and you've been dreaming about it for a long time, just do it. Just start. We say it all the time, just start, because you never know what they're gonna find in the next test. There might be something that is concerning. And I don't want this to be a depressing or down video, so I'm gonna turn it around real quick. Just say, use this as your chance to say this year get something done. And we, by all means, are going to get something done towards our off-grid little cabin goal. But because of all the time that we've lost, and one other thing, which we're gonna talk about in another video, I'll get to that in a second, the plans have changed here for this year on Sunny Mountain. During the time that I was having all these tests done and going to the doctors and getting all this checked out, I knew I didn't have the brain power to do anything here at Sunny Mountain. I didn't even, not even like little stuff like what I'm doing today, planting and seeding and all. One thing I knew I could do was research and learn. And so I continued to do interviews over the fall and winter. I did interviews on building off-grid, on building straw bale homes.
You know, we build straw bale homes, we build
earth ships.
We form the structure of the building and it just floats on the earth, you know,
geodesic domes. Today we're gonna tour this incredible geodesic dome. Living off-grid, I did interviews on solar.
Your panels will replenish the battery bank as you're pulling from it. So
we've released some of those. I'll have links below to the ones we've released. Like for example, we released the interview about the earth ship and building off-grid. In each and every one of those interviews, the off-grid experts gave me a warning. And I ignored it in the beginning. One person said it, you know, whatever. I heard it again, the next person said it, When every expert you talk to warns you about this mistake that you're making, you realize, I better listen or this is gonna turn out really bad here at Sunny Mountain. We're finally on this side of all my medical stuff, medical testing. I'm feeling better, I'm ready to get back to our project, but I can't ignore the warning that they gave me anymore. So in the next video, we're gonna talk about the warning that these different off-grid experts gave me, what we're gonna do to make sure that we heed this warning, and any of you out there who are looking to homestead, build off-grid, build from scratch, you're not gonna wanna miss this video. So click here to watch it.